I'm sure I'm not the only person who has fallen asleep in VR, so I'm hoping that by posting this, someone who has navigated a situation like this before can help. I've been falling asleep late at night while on a public server for a very popular game on VR. It was jarring at first, but harmless to everything save for my optic nerves. Well, the other day, I was playing said game and I noticed another player following me around. Their name was in Cyrillic, so I haven't the faintest clue what it is. The avatar behind me was just a normal avatar, except the skin they were using as a texture similar to TV static, and completely featureless. This should have been red flag number 1, because I have not seen anyone else with this skin on their avatar, but at the time, I chalked it up to being rare in-game. Whoever it was didn't react to any movement or attempts to communicate on my end. Honestly, I've never had an encounter like this on the internet. I wasn't alarmed by the player. After all, it is just a game. I went about my business and nodded off. 6 hours later, I awoke to the sounds of my father getting ready for work and came to consciousness within my VR headset. I was still active on the server, and not much had changed since I drifted off. However, this included my friend. The strange avatar was still lurking near me. This made my stomach churn. Hey bro, we both nodded off. Catch you on the flip side? I said into the mic before slipping the headset off and getting some real sleep. This may not seem inherently eerie to some, but let me put this into perspective. Imagine you had a creepy person following you around in your game for a bit, then you fall asleep in a real-time server, and they're still watching you. And he wasn't communicating. Hell no. The guy creeped me out, but after a few minutes I was able to nod off. When I awoke again, I was put off by the idea of resuming my game, bothered by the night before. I decided to go for a jog in my small suburban neighbourhood. I donned my jogging clothes, put some headphones in, and took off. I only made it 2 streets before the feeling of being watched set in. It truly felt like there were eyes on the back of my head, sensing every movement I made. Eventually, it became too much to ignore, and I whipped my entire body around to see what was watching me. For just a moment, a fleeting second, I saw a flash of what looked like TV static dispersing behind me. I jolted backwards at the shock and landed on my arse. Then, reality sunk in slowly, like the inevitable pull of a tide, and I stood up. I was clearly letting my jumpy imagination get to me. I resumed my jog, but I did take a shortcut home. I found myself back in my bedroom, staring at my headset. Was I really going to waste the entire day doing nothing because of a weird chance encounter with some random guy online? Stoically, I put the headset on and loaded into my game. Everything was fine for about 10 minutes, but as soon as I let my guard down, I saw that thing behind me again. There it was in all its glory. Someone's avatar, completely made of static, with an illegible handle. Well, illegible to me, at least. Fight or flight kicked in, and I chose flight. I took my headset off and whipped it at the wall. It dented the drywall and clattered to the floor, broken. I groaned and crawled into my bed, willing this all away. After an awkward midday slumber, I woke up with my throat as dry as the Mojave Desert in a nuclear winter. I swung my legs off my bed and padded my stiff feet to the kitchen for a glass of water. As I approached the kitchen, the hairs on the back of my head stood up, and I heard what sounded like scuttling behind me. I plodded to the end of the hall as fast as I could and flicked on the lights. Once again, I saw the flash of static take off towards my parents' room. I ran back down the hall into the room where my parents slept, barged through the door, and flicked the lights on frantically. There was nothing to be seen, save for my enraged parents hurling confused shouts at me. When my father came to his full senses, I explained everything to him. My father checked out the entire house to make sure there were no intruders, and then, when there were none to be found, he sat me down. He explained how I was likely suffering from insomnia, and thus paranoia. Real armchair psychiatrist. He gave me a sleeping pill and sent me off to my bed with the promise of taking me to a real doctor soon. Soon wasn't soon enough. The next morning, I awoke groggily and checked my phone. I had nearly 100 notifications after being AWOL from my phone for nearly a whole day. One notification stood out among the rest, however. It was from a blocked number, a simple message with a photo attached. The message was merely a smiling emoji and a shocked emoji, and the photo was of me, sleeping the night before. I yelped and dropped the phone before running to my parents' room. They had both left for work already. I locked the door and holed up until they could come home. All day, I've been hearing that damn scuttling. I'm recording this on my father's laptop to get my story out there. Has this happened to anyone else? And does anyone know what this sentence means in the description of this video?